The day Aurora Hale announced her engagement to the polished executive her family had handpicked, my heart didn't just break, it detonated. I stood frozen in the back of the glittering ballroom at Hale Tower, champagne flute trembling in my hand, while cameras flashed and board members clapped like trained seals. Aurora's smile was perfect, the same one she used to give me in the dark after midnight meetings when the rest of Manhattan slept, but now it was aimed at a man named Victor Lang who knew nothing about the woman he was about to marry. 3 years. That's how long we had kept our marriage a secret. Quietly legal in a small Vermont courthouse on a rainy Tuesday, no one ever knew about. I was Leah Thompson, mid-level strategy director at Hale Enterprises, the woman who had helped Aurora close the biggest deals of her career, while the world saw us as nothing more than colleagues. She had begged me to understand when the blackmail started 6 months ago. A rival investor threatening to leak our photos unless Aurora played the perfect straight heiress and secured the family image. The company was teetering. Her father's illness had already shaken investor confidence. One scandal and billions would vanish overnight. So I had nodded, swallowed the bile, and watched the woman I loved slip a diamond ring onto another man's finger while her blue eyes flicked to mine for a single second that said everything words couldn't. "It's temporary," she had whispered the night before in our hidden Brooklyn brownstone. "Just until the inheritance is locked. Then we disappear." But tonight the lie felt permanent. Victor's arm around her waist, her father's proud toast, the way the society pages were already calling it, the merger of the decade. I slipped out before the speeches ended, the city air slapping my face like a wake-up call. My phone buzzed before I even reached the subway. Aurora. I didn't answer. The next morning the office buzzed with wedding plans. I buried myself in spreadsheets, pretending the ache in my chest was just caffeine withdrawal. By lunch Aurora cornered me in the executive elevator. The one with the mirrored walls that reflected every tear I refused to cry. "Leah, look at me." Her voice cracked despite the power suit. "I hate this more than you do." "Then call it off," I whispered, hating how small I sounded. "We have the papers. We're already married. Your father's will doesn't require you to marry a man. It only requires a stable image. We can spin it." She pressed her forehead to mine, the brief contact electric after weeks of distance. "If I come out now, the board votes me out tomorrow. The company my grandfather built collapses. My mother's heart condition. She won't survive the shame. I'm doing this for us, for the future we planned." The elevator doors opened on the 47th floor. She stepped back, mask in place, and walked away without looking back. That was the first real betrayal, not the fake ring but the way she made me feel like my pain was selfish. By evening the tabloids had our wholesome engagement photos everywhere. I deleted the apps, poured a glass of the bourbon she hated, and stared at the framed wedding license hidden behind a painting in our living room. Aurora came home at 2 a.m., smelling like expensive cologne that wasn't hers. She didn't speak. She just crawled into bed behind me, arms wrapping around my waist like she was afraid I'd vanish. "I love you," she breathed against my neck. "More than the empire. More than anything." I wanted to believe her. God, I wanted to. But the war inside me had already begun. The war between the woman who would burn the world for love and the woman who refused to let Aurora destroy everything her family had bled for. The following weeks blurred into a nightmare of wedding dress fittings I wasn't invited to, charity galas where I watched her dance with Victor while investors praised the power couple. My own mother called from Ohio, gushing about the beautiful Hale girl on the news, completely unaware her daughter was the secret wife. At work, colleagues started treating me differently, pitying glances when they thought I wasn't looking. Rumors swirled that I had been passed over for promotion because of office politics. Aurora's mother cornered me at the company picnic, her diamond tennis bracelet catching the sun like a warning. "You've been such a loyal friend to Aurora," she said, voice sweet as poison. "But now that she's settling down, perhaps it's time you found your own path. We wouldn't want any misunderstandings." I smiled so hard my jaw ached. "Of course, Mrs. Hale. I only want what's best for the family." That night I packed a bag. Aurora found me in the hallway, eyes wild. "Don't you dare leave me." "Then stop pushing me away," I shot back. "Every time you kiss him for the cameras, you're killing us both." She grabbed my wrist, pulling me close. I'm dying inside too. But if I lose the company, I lose the power to protect you, to protect us. Victor means nothing. He knows it's a business arrangement. His family gets the merger, we get breathing room. I wanted to scream that breathing room felt like drowning. Instead I let her kiss me, desperate and tasting of regret, because even in the middle of the war I couldn't stop loving her. The invitations went out for the wedding in 3 months. My name wasn't on any list. I threw myself into a new project, restructuring the European division, just to stay sane. Aurora texted every night. Still mine? I answered with a single heart emoji, because saying the words hurt too much. Then the first real crack appeared. Victor started asking questions. At a board dinner he cornered me near the bar. You and Aurora seem close. Anything I should know before I sign the prenup? My blood turned to ice. I laughed it off, but the seed was planted. Later Aurora admitted he had hired a private investigator. He's paranoid. We'll handle it. Handle it. The same word she used when her father first demanded the charade. I was starting to hate those words. By the end of the month the pressure had carved hollows under Aurora's eyes. She lost weight. She snapped at her assistant in meetings. At home she clung to me like a lifeline, whispering apologies between kisses that grew more frantic. I'm so sorry, Leah. I'm so damn sorry. I held her while she cried, stroking her hair the way she liked, and wondered how much longer we could survive loving each other in the shadows while the world celebrated her fake future. The inheritance announcement was set for December 15th, her father's 75th birthday, and the day he would officially name his successor. Aurora had spent years proving she was ready. Now the board was whispering that a married woman would look more stable. The irony burned. 2 weeks before the big day, Aurora's father summoned me to his private office. The old man looked frail in his leather chair, oxygen tube discreetly tucked behind his ear. Leah, he said without preamble, you've been like a daughter to this family. But Aurora needs to focus on her new life. I'm transferring you to the San Francisco office. Effective immediately. My stomach dropped. San Francisco meant 3,000 miles. It meant the end. I met his gaze steadily. With respect, sir, my life is here. He smiled the cold smile of a man who had crushed competitors for decades. Life changes. So do loyalties. That night I told Aurora. She went very still, then paced the brownstone like a caged lion. He can't do this. I won't let him. You already did, I said quietly, the moment you said yes to Victor. She stopped, tears spilling over. Then I'll tell them everything. Right now. Tonight. I wanted to believe her. But I had heard that promise before. And tomorrow the wedding venue deposits were due. The war inside me reached its boiling point. I was done being the secret. Done watching the woman I married choose an empire over our vows. But Aurora Hale had one more card to play, and when she finally played it on December 15th, the entire world would burn with us. I didn't leave for San Francisco. Not yet. Aurora spent the next 48 hours in damage control mode, charming her father over golf, promising the board I was irreplaceable on the European restructure. She even convinced Victor to publicly praise my work at a press event, his arm around her waist while mine stayed glued to my sides. The performance was flawless. The cost was another piece of my soul. At home the tension turned physical. We fought in whispers so the neighbors wouldn't hear. You're letting them erase me, I hissed one night after she came home smelling of his cologne again. Every time you smile for those cameras, you're telling the world I don't exist. Aurora slammed her briefcase down. You think this is easy for me? I wake up every morning hating the woman in the mirror. But if I blow this now, the company loses the Japanese merger. Thousands of jobs, your job gone. My mother's medical bills. The foundation we built for LGBTQ kids in the Bronx. Everything we dreamed about together. I laughed bitterly. Funny how our dreams always come second. She crossed the room in 3 strides, cupping my face with both hands. You are not second. You are the only thing keeping me alive right now. Her thumbs brushed away tears I hadn't realized were falling. Give me until the announcement. 2 weeks. Then I swear on our marriage license I will burn every fake invitation myself. I wanted to believe her so badly it physically hurt. Instead I nodded, because love had turned me into a fool who kept choosing hope over self-respect. The betrayals kept coming. At the engagement party, Victor's mother cornered me in the powder room. "Darling, you seem so devoted to Aurora. Almost like family." Her smile was all teeth. "But family knows when to step back." I smiled back, lipstick perfect, heart bleeding. "I'm just here to support the happy couple." Later Aurora found me on the rooftop terrace, staring at the city lights. She slipped her arms around me from behind, chin on my shoulder. I saw what she said. "I'm sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix it anymore," I whispered. "I'm losing myself, Aurora. Every day a little more." She turned me around, eyes fierce. "Then let me give you something to hold on to." From her clutch she pulled a small velvet box. Inside was a thin platinum band etched with our initials and the date we said, "I do." "Wear it under your watch. No one will see, but you'll know." I let her slide it onto my finger. The metal was warm from her skin. For one stolen minute on that freezing rooftop we were just Leah and Aurora again. Wives, partners, unstoppable. Then her phone buzzed. "Victor." She silenced it, but the spell broke. The next morning the tabloids ran a new headline. "Hail Heiress and Lang Heir finalize wedding venue. Romance of the century." I threw my coffee across the kitchen. The mug shattered against the fridge, leaving a dark stain that looked too much like blood. Aurora cleaned it up without a word, then left for another meeting. My career started to fracture. A promotion I had earned on merit was quietly given to Victor's cousin. When I confronted HR, the director just shrugged. "Board decision. You understand." I understood perfectly. I was being erased. That night I drove to our secret spot, the overlook in the Catskills where we had picnicked the weekend we eloped. Aurora met me there after midnight, headlights cutting through the dark. We sat on the hood of her car wrapped in one blanket, sharing cheap wine from a gas station. "Remember when we thought love would be enough?" I asked. "It still is," she said, voice hoarse. "I just have to prove it to everyone else first." I wanted to scream that proving it was destroying us both. Instead I kissed her like the world was ending, because part of me believed it was. The final week before the announcement felt like counting down to execution. Aurora's father's health took a turn. The doctors moved the date up. She barely slept. I found her at 4 a.m. pacing the living room in one of my old college hoodies, murmuring legal clauses under her breath. When she saw me she broke. "I can't do this without you," she sobbed into my shoulder. "If I lose you, none of it matters." I held her until the sun came up, stroking her back the way she liked, whispering the vows we had exchanged in Vermont. For those few hours the empire didn't exist. Only us. Then the morning of December 15th arrived, cold and bright. Aurora stood in our bedroom in the white suit she had chosen for the announcement, looking every inch the powerful heiress. She kissed me slow and deep, tasting like toothpaste and fear. "Today everything changes," she promised. "Today I choose you out loud." I wanted to believe her. I almost did. We drove separately to Hale Tower. I took my usual seat in the back row of the auditorium, heart hammering so hard I could feel it in my teeth. The room was packed. Board members, press, family, Victor sitting front row with a smug smile. Aurora's mother dabbed her eyes with a silk handkerchief. Her father took the stage first, voice weak but proud. "Today I pass the torch to the next generation. My daughter Aurora has proven herself worthy in every way." The applause was thunderous. Aurora stepped up to the microphone, notes in hand. She looked straight at me for one long second. And I saw the old fire, the woman who had proposed to me on one knee in the rain. Then she opened her mouth, and the world stopped. "Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming. There's something I need to say before any announcements are made." The room hushed so completely I could hear the HVAC system humming above us. Aurora's hands gripped the podium, knuckles white, but her voice stayed steady. The same voice that had closed billion-dollar deals and once whispered, "I love you," against my skin at 3 a.m. Many of you have celebrated my engagement to Victor Lang. I appreciate the support. But the truth is, that engagement was never real. Gasps rippled through the crowd like a shockwave. Victor's face drained of color. Aurora's mother clutched her pearls. I sat frozen, the platinum band under my watch suddenly burning like a brand. I have been in love with one person for 3 years, Aurora continued, eyes finding mine again. A woman who has stood beside me through every crisis, every late night, every impossible decision. Leah Thompson is not just my colleague. She is my wife. The word detonated. Cameras flashed. Phones flew up. I felt every eye in the room swing toward me like spotlights. My legs refused to move. Aurora lifted her chin. 3 years ago we married in private because this industry, this family, still punishes honesty. But I will not inherit an empire built on lies. Effective immediately, I am naming Leah Thompson as my legal spouse and the sole successor to Hale Enterprises. She has earned it through talent, loyalty, and the courage I lacked until today. Chaos erupted. Board members shouted. Victor surged to his feet, face purple. This is a joke. Aurora's voice cut through the noise like a blade. It is not. We have the marriage certificate. We have the witnesses. And if the board has a problem with that, I will take every client, every contact, every innovation I brought to this company and walk out that door. The choice is yours. Her father tried to stand, oxygen mask askew. Aurora, think of the family name. I am thinking of the family name, she said softer now. The real one. The one built on integrity. Security moved in as reporters surged forward. I finally found my feet and pushed through the crowd, heart slamming against my ribs. Aurora met me halfway down the aisle, grabbing my hand in front of the entire world. The platinum band caught the light as our fingers laced together. I'm sorry it took me this long, she whispered against my ear. I was terrified of losing everything. But I realized the only thing I can't lose is you. Flashbulbs exploded around us. I kissed her, quick, fierce, public, because after 3 years of hiding, the taste of freedom was worth every consequence. The board called an emergency meeting. Aurora's mother refused to look at us. Victor stormed out threatening lawsuits. My phone exploded with texts. My mother in Ohio sending confused emojis, colleagues sending fire emojis, strangers sending death threats. I silenced it all. That night we barricaded ourselves in the brownstone. Aurora paced while I poured whiskey with shaking hands. The stock dropped 12% in after-hours trading, she said, scrolling her tablet. Board is split. My father is demanding I take it back. I handed her the glass. Then we fight. She looked at me, really looked, and the exhaustion in her eyes cracked something open. I almost lost you. Every time I smiled at Victor, the first felt like I was killing us. I was so scared of becoming the villain in my own story that I made you the casualty. I pulled her down onto the couch, legs tangled, foreheads pressed together. You're not the villain. You're the woman who finally chose love when it mattered most. We made love for the first time in months, slow, reverent, no secrets left between us. Afterward, she traced the band on my finger and whispered, "Sole successor. You. Not me. Because you're the heart of this company, Leah. You always have been." The next 48 hours were war. Lawsuits flew. The board voted 7-6 to reject the succession, citing moral clause in the bylaws. Aurora laughed in their faces during the Zoom call. Then announced she was taking the entire European division with her if they forced her out. Clients started calling me directly, pledging loyalty. My own family called in tears. "We don't understand," my mother sobbed. "You never told us." I explained as gently as I could while Aurora held my hand. By the end of the call my father was quiet, processing, but my mother said, "As long as you're happy, baby." Small victories. Victor's family leaked edited photos trying to paint Aurora as unstable. The internet split, half calling us heroes, half calling us homewreckers. I stopped reading the comments. Aurora's mother showed up at the brownstone unannounced, eyes red. "Your father had a stroke this morning," she told us. "He's asking for you both." The hospital room smelled of antiseptic and regret. The old man looked small in the bed. He stared at our joined hands for a long time. "I built this company to protect my family," he rasped. "Turns out I was protecting the wrong things." He signed a codicil that afternoon, naming me co-CEO alongside Aurora with full voting rights. The board had no choice but to fall in line. But victory tasted bittersweet. Aurora's younger brother, Estranged for years. Cut contact completely. Several longtime investors pulled out. The company's stock stabilized, but the scars remained. One night a month later we stood on the same rooftop where she had given me the secret band. The city stretched below us, lights twinkling like stars we had finally earned the right to touch. I gave up the fairy tale they wanted, Aurora said, leaning into me. The straight wedding, the perfect heir, the legacy without complications. And I gained something better. I kissed her temple. We both did. Yet the war wasn't over. The psychological toll lingered in quiet moments. Her nightmares about losing everything, my panic attacks when new articles dropped. We started therapy together, learning how to rebuild trust after so many forced betrayals. The board eventually came around when profits rose under our joint leadership. The LGBTQ foundation we quietly expanded became the company's flagship charity. But every time I walked into a meeting and saw the wary glances, I remembered the cost. Aurora never regretted it. Neither did I. Still, on the anniversary of the announcement we drove back to Vermont, stood in the same courthouse, and renewed our vows in front of a judge who had kept our secret for 3 years. This time there were no cameras, no lies. Just us, 2 American women who had fought an empire and won. The world kept spinning. Some family members came around. Others never would. The company survived. We thrived. But the question that haunted me on quiet nights remained. True or false? When family honor demands you bury the truth, is the price of finally speaking it ever too high?